Security Affairs at NPS. Welcome to World DNA, Professor James. Now, this is the 21st meeting requested by Russia on the issue of Western arms supplied to Ukraine at the UNSC. Considering the geopolitical situation right now and also the concerns over Iran and North Korea supplying weapons to Russia, what are the chances of the motion reaching a binding resolution, and what kind of an impact will it have on the battlefield?
Well, regrettably, of course, as we have seen in both the Gaza and Ukraine wars, the Security Council has been rendered all but irrelevant. And this is the body that the international community, of course, created to serve as the arbiter for international peace and security. So it's a testament to the failure of the international community to use the council. And of course, it's the permanent members of that council that are the most egregious abusers of their authority on that council to veto resolutions. So it serves a useful purpose, of course, for both for sides to bring these arguments before the international community. But I wouldn't expect the Security Council to reach any kind of decisive solution. And I might add that a solution is clearly called for here. The Biden administration should be doing everything in its power to try to work towards a negotiated settlement with the Russians in Ukraine, with Zelensky's cooperation, of course.
Right. Professor Russell, Putin earlier said that he is ready for talks anytime with the U.S. President-elect. And he has also backed an idea of Christmas truce, which was proposed by Orban. But it looks like that Ukraine is not really keen on that proposal. My question to you is that, do you see a possibility of a truce before Christmas?
I hope there are truces in all of these awful wars that we see going on that are killing innocent civilians by the thousands. This is an atrocious misuse of the weapons of war and the inevitable targeting of non-combatants. That is, of course, in all circumstances, is a terrible thing, but particularly in the holiday season, there should be some kind of truce that the antagonist can agree to and spare further needless civilian deaths. I mean, we see the continued prosecution of the wars in Gaza, for example, and the wars in Ukraine, the killing of Igor Kirillov, the Russian general, a few days ago. These escalatory cycles just keep on coming, and we're all sort of sitting on tenterhooks, hoping that the escalation can somehow be brought under reasonable control.
Right. And at this point of time, Russia and Ukraine are blaming each other over the reciprocal missiles. My last question to you, I want to talk about what's happening on the battlefield, Professor James. How significant has the impact of Western-supplied weapons to Ukraine been on the battlefield, considering that Russia is still making great advances on the battleground?
Well, of course, the American military assistance and European military assistance, of course, has allowed the Ukrainians to keep on fighting. If it wasn't for these outside sources of armaments and ammunition, the Ukrainians wouldn't be in any position to continue the war. So, and it's a war that they are losing, and I don't think there's any question about that. And the Biden administration has taken a very cynical approach, in my opinion, over these last several months, which is stuffing as much military equipment and ammunition into the supply pipeline to keep the war going and have it drop into the laps of the next administration. And I think this is an appalling behavior by the Biden administration. We need to have negotiations. The sooner the better. And I don't think these negotiations can happen too soon. They should be underway now. And America, the Biden administration, should be trying to lead these negotiations. But instead, we're again shelling out more arms to the Ukrainians to fight this losing war.
Right, Professor Russell, thank you for joining us in World DNA. We'll wait and have to see if the incoming U.S. President, Donald Trump, will be able to stop the war like what he has promised in a span of 24 hours.
Hope so, yeah. Thank you.
All right, moving on, the fall of Assad regime is a historical and jubilant moment for countless Syrians. Syria's transition has been smooth in less than 2 weeks since Assad's ouster, yet there are various challenges that the new leadership is facing, from forming national unity to rebuilding the Syrian army. A day after demonstrations demanding democracy and inclusivity in governance, thousands of Syrians rallied on the streets of Damascus in support of the new government and the fall of Assad's government. The crowds gathered at Umayyad Square, waving the new regime's flag and chanting slogans against Assad.
أنا أسعد إنساني بهالدنيا إنه خلصنا منه أكبر ظالم، دمرنا، حرق بلدنا، قتلنا، كل شيء ظلم عملوا فينا، الحمد لله اللي خلصنا منه.
Amid the demonstrations, the Biden administration has decided to drop the long-standing $10 million bounty on the de facto leader of Syria, Mohammed al-Julani. The announcement comes following a high-level U.S. delegation meeting in Damascus with the representatives of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, a designated terrorist group by the U.S. and other countries. Now, during the course of the meeting, the new Syrian leader said that they want to contribute to regional peace. They went on to say that Syria will focus on building privileged strategic partnerships with countries in the region. And this was the first formal mission to the Syrian capital by U.S. diplomats since the early days of Syria's civil war. Turkey, a key player in the region, has sent a strong warning to eliminate and eradicate the ISIS and Kurdish leaders in Syria. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said that it is time to destroy the existing terrorist organizations in Syria that have posed a threat to Syria's survival.
Şunu memnuniyetle söylemek durumundayım. 61 yıllık karanlığın ardından Allah'ın izniyle Suriye'de özgürlüğün şafağı sökmeye başlamıştır. Arap, Türkmen, Kürt, Sünni, Nusayri, Hristiyan demeden Suriye halkının tamamı geleceklerine artık daha bir güvenle bakıyor.
Erdogan's statement comes after 2 journalists working for Kurdish media outlets in Turkey were killed in northern Syria on Thursday after their vehicle was allegedly targeted by a Turkish drone. The Turkish parliament has condemned the killing, calling the attack a crime against humanity. Germany has raised concerns over fresh violence in northern Syria, where Turkish troops and Ankara-backed fighters have been battling the Syrian Defense Forces, or SDF, a Kurdish-led group supported by the US. Well, Germany has made it clear that the security of the Kurdish people is critical for Syria to have a secure future. The statement was made by German Foreign Minister after she held talks with her Turkish counterpart in Ankara. The US, on the other hand, has announced that 2 ISIS operatives, including leader Abu Yusuf, have been shot dead in Syria. Washington has expressed concern that ISIS could seize the moment to resurrect, and it wants to avoid any clashes in the country's northeast. That's between Turkey-backed rebel factions and US-allied Kurdish leaders. The United Nations Security Council, or UNSC, has also raised alarm over Israel's intensified military activities in the Golan Heights. It has extended the long-running peacekeeping mission between Syria and the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights for 6 more months. On to the world of sports now. Reigning Test World Champions Australia have announced their squad for the last two tests of the Border Gavaskar Trophy against India. Opener Nathan MC Swenny has been dropped to make way for teenager Sam Constas, while fast bowler Jay Richardson makes a comeback after 3 years, replacing the injured Josh Hazlewood. Sweeney has been omitted after a lean start to his international career. He had won the race to replace retired David Warner at the top of the order. But the 25-year-old struggled and made just 72 runs in 6 innings. His replacement, 19-year-old Sam Constas,